guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a discussion video for you about The Glass Arrow by Kristen Simmons. I will put a picture right here. I did have a physical copy, but I had a friend who was interested in it, so I gave it to her, so I don't actually have it with me for this video. I briefly talked about this in my September wrap-up, but I really wanted to do a dedicated video talking about this book because I thought it was really interesting. And this might be useful if you're a writer, actually, because of the nature of the things that I want to talk about with this book. So if you're not familiar with it, Glass Arrow is a futuristic dystopian novel set in a world where women are considered to be property and are literally bought and sold when they come of age. This book was really interesting because it had a ton of potential. There were a lot of things done really well in it, but there were things that kind of left it lacking in the writing and in the way certain things were done. And it's weird because I landed on a 3-star rating for this book, but I felt like it really had the potential to be a 5-star read for me. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why that is. Fair warning, this video will probably have some spoilers in it, so if you really want to avoid that, it may not be the thing for you, but if you've either read the book or you don't really care, there might be some useful things you could get out of this reading it for writing purposes or talking about it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the opening of the book. This might be the best opening chapter I've read, or definitely one of the strongest. It's action-packed, but she also does a fantastic job of making you really care about the main character, Aya. And that's hard to do. Not a lot of authors can do that. So there's like a chase scene and a fight scene and all these things happening, but at the same time she weaves in information that really makes you invested in what's happening with this character. And I think that that was so well done, and I was so impressed, and so I was expecting a lot from the book going in. So it's really fast-paced at the beginning, and then it has this really long, slow bit in the middle. But it's interesting, it feels like she's kind of investigating things about the character and trying to really dive into some stuff. But then you hit a point later on in the book after she's sold where it kind of speeds up again and it feels like you're rushing to the conclusion. And the problem with it was that it felt like for the second half to third to half of the book, the author was just trying to get through the events and the characters didn't have a chance to catch up. So what you end up with is a character who doesn't have a growth arc. She is essentially the same person at the beginning of the book as she is at the end of the book. The opening was really strong. The world building was really cool. The world she created was really interesting, and I liked the characters early on. I even thought that the ending was really creative, but the problem was you didn't see any change or any growth. You also were left with a lot of questions about, like, okay, well, yeah, she gets herself saved at the end, but what about everybody else? She's kind of like, well, screw them, whatever. So I felt like the thing that would fix a lot of these issues was if this book was either not a standalone, was part of a series, or was a couple hundred pages longer. Because it really felt like she kind of got to this point where she was like, oh shoot, I'm running out of space. I gotta hurry up and wrap up all the events and tie it up with a neat little bow. But because it was so focused on the events, the characters didn't have a chance to grow and develop. And that left you really wanting something more. Also the fact that there's no sort of addressing like how could they start a revolution? How could they actually change things for other people in the community is something that's totally not addressed. And so that was a problem. So this was an interesting book for me because I loved the world building. I loved the opening. I liked the idea for the ending, but unfortunately the execution of it fell a little flat for me, and I think it had to do with the character development. Even the romance, which started out pretty strong, felt really flat the whole last part of the book. Hey guys, sorry. So the memory card is full on my camera and I have limited time to film, so I just wanted to wrap up this video really quick here. So like I was saying, I feel like with The Glass Arrow, it had so much potential. There were so many really great things about it, but unfortunately some of those things fell flat. And so as a writer, I feel like you might take away from this the fact that while the plot points and the events are important, they don't really mean as much if your characters aren't growing and aren't developing. That's a really important aspect of it. And so if you can't do that, Yeah, maybe think about whether the book needs to be longer, whether you need to, figure out some way to weave that in there, because that was what I felt like was lacking. So again, The Glass Arrow, a lot of it was really well done. I ended up giving it 3 stars instead of 5 stars because of those things. In the comments down below, let me know what you guys thought, if you've read it, if you had similar thoughts or different thoughts, or, if you're a writer and you feel like this was useful, I'd love to start a conversation about it. I think it's pretty interesting. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to see more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.